UFC Seattle's going down next weekend, man. Today I'm about to get my early predictions on the whole entire card. Look, man, you want to tune into my best bets? I'm going to be going live tomorrow. Don't worry if you missed the live stream. I'll have it uploaded with timestamps. Come through, ask questions, whatever you need to do. And yeah, man, let's get right into this. So, if you haven't been on Twitter, a lot of these fights have been canceled. And I'm just going to skip over the ones that have been canceled so I don't waste anybody's time, right? So, let's get right into this. The first one, which is not canceled. You have Rafael taking on Modestas Bukauskas. I don't know if these odds are real. I doubt it. I do want to check, and I'm surprised. I'm very surprised here. I'm actually going to go with the dog, Rafael. I've done a lot of research on this guy, and I actually did pick him to go out there and beat Ibo Aslan. We know how that went, right? He got separated from consciousness immediately, pretty much, and that was my problem with Rafael because even when I watched his regional fights, he had an issue of kind of just standing in the pocket and not moving around. And he did that versus Ibo Aslan and got knocked out. Standing knocked out, his eyes rolled to the back of his head like 3 times and got woken up. But he's talented, man. He's a big dude, obviously. He's strong. He has good athleticism. I think he can actually beat Modestas Bukauskas, who is very mediocre, right? He's coming off a win versus Marcin Prachnio. This was a crazy snipe. I actually bet Modestas Bukauskas to win by submission in round 3, and it cashed, right? It was a crazy one, and I was very excited for that. It was crazy. UFC 305, I remember like yesterday. And Modestas Bukauskas, he's not bad, but he's not great. He's a guy to me who doesn't really like to get hit, right? In that fight versus Prachnio, he got hurt once, but he also hurt Prachnio. He's pretty solid on the feet. I think that he's probably going to want this fight on the feet. Cerqueira can take it to the mat if he'd like to. But I'm going with the dog shot right now. Obviously, I got to go watch film again. But for now, I am going to stick with my pick, Rafael Cerqueira, to win this one. I'm going to say via decision or finish, one of the two. But I like Cerqueira's game. I think from what I saw in the regional scene, I know he hasn't fought anybody good there until he got to Aslan. But he looked solid. He looked athletic. And, last time out, debut, got smoked by a guy who's on this card, who we'll go over as well. But, yeah, man, I'm going to stick with my pick, Cerqueira, to win this one, but not too confident, obviously. But next up, this is one I am confident in. Mansur Abdul-Malik taking on Nick Klien. Now, both these guys, contender series guys off of this year. Now, I love seeing Mansur Abdul-Malik fight again because I love seeing, younger guys, younger prospects keep fighting. You take a look at the odds here. He is sitting at minus 550. And I think it should be higher. I don't know about higher, but what you're looking at in Mansur Abdul-Malik is an absolute specimen of a person, right? You can see here, he's 6'2" with an 80-inch reach, okay? So he's automatically a big boy. He's got a wrestling background. He wrestled at the University of Maryland briefly, and I wouldn't say he's a primary wrestler. Of course, he can wrestle, but he can also strike, and his striking is dynamic. He hits like a damn truck. He's fast. He's athletic. He's a very talented guy to watch out for. Now, there, of course, is some holes in his game. I don't think he's the most polished striker, but he's got so much ability. I think he's at Extreme Couture. I don't know. It says MMA Masters on his Tapology, which is in Miami, which has some great fighters there as well. But he's something to look out for. He's a specimen. He hits like a truck. He has brutal ground and pound. And he can wrestle, of course. Now, Nick Klien comes in, gets a win on the Contender Series, a submission where he was a big underdog, and he got it in like 2 seconds. Now, he is a guy who's going to try and grind this fight out, grind it on the fence, take you down, and just try to beat you by a submission or get you on the ground. He doesn't have much to offer on the feet. And he's taking on Mansur Abdul-Malik, who is going to be able to shuck off those takedowns pretty easily, in my opinion. If Mansur is on top, I believe he'll be fine, right? Nick Klien does have good BJJ off his back. He is aggressive, but he's going to look to wrestle. And if this fight's on the feet, Mansur is going to kill him. If it's on the ground, I believe Mansur is going to win again, right? I just think Nick Klien is not big enough, physical enough to get a guy like Mansur down to the mat. And obviously, Mansur having that wrestling background, he's going to have no problem shucking this dude off. I think he's going to beat the fuck out of Nick Klien. But I hope the best for Nick Klien, man. But Mansur Abdul-Malik is a problem for this division, and I am very high on him. I think he'll easily win this fight without a doubt. So I am going with Mansur Abdul-Malik. This pick's pretty much locked in, so if you want to throw him in a parlay, he is around minus 550. I would imagine that might go up because I do believe, I want to see what it opened at. It opened at minus 600, and he's gone down to minus 550. I would imagine it goes back up. So if you want to play, just put a guy like that I think is going to win pretty easily. You can just put him in a future lay. I think he wins pretty easily, so I am going with Mansur Abdul-Malik to win this fight inside the distance. So yeah, next up, Ricky Simón versus Javid Basharat. This is a fight that is still on. Ricky Simón hasn't looked great, right? He's coming off a loss to, I believe, Vinicius Oliveira, and before that, Mario Bautista, where Mario Bautista smoked him, and Vinicius had his way with him. Now he's taking on Javid Basharat, who kind of got, I don't want to say he got fraud checked. He didn't get fraud checked because Ayman Zahabi is actually a solid fighter, as we've seen, right? He's improved his game a lot, and it was a pretty tough matchup for Javid. Now, Javid, dynamic on the feet with the kicking, keeps you at range. I would imagine that Simón is the guy who hits harder for sure. Simón, obviously, he has power. He has good low kicks. We'll see how he can kind of get into that range. But against a guy like Javid with great wrestling, going to be able to nullify Simón's wrestling more than likely. And solid footwork from the outside. He's got good kicks. Just like his brother. I would imagine that he gets this one done. I do want to look at the line here. You are looking at Basharat minus 260. I don't necessarily know if I agree with that to a full extent, but I would expect him to get this one done. I kind of line this fight as minus 175 for Javid. I think that he can work his kicks from the outside, keep Simón at range, use that dynamic footwork, evade the strikes of Simón. But Simón could get those leg kicks going, slow him down, and kind of wear on him. We'll see what Ricky Simón still got. Obviously, he's on a 2-fight losing streak. And we'll see what he's got, man. But I am going to go with Javid. I think, losing to Ayman Zahabi is not as bad as people want to make it seem because Ayman Zahabi just smoked Pedro Munoz easily, right? So I think Javid Basharat gets this one done. I'm going to say by a decision, which he usually wins by a decision. So we'll go with Javid Basharat decision. And I'll probably keep this pick. We'll see what happens. But let's move on. Next up, not going to open up for me, but you got Julius Walker taking on Alonzo Menifield. Now, I did a little bit of brief looking into this guy, Julius Walker, because I want to see what he's about, right? He just got picked up and signed for this fight only. And he's 6-0, I believe. I don't exactly remember. He's 6-0. He's 25 years old, if I'm not mistaken. I actually have it written down. 25 years old, 6'4", 81-inch reach. So he's a big boy. He's going to have the reach advantage here, but he's going to look to wrestle. And Alonzo Menifield, is a guy who is tested in the wrestling, right? Zoe is going to be able to stuff these takedowns that Walker brings to him. And Walker, he's not a very good striker from what I've seen. And, Zoe on the feet is explosive. He's a much, much better technical fighter than Julius Walker, in my opinion. If Julius Walker can get the fight to the mat, he's pretty good from there, good on top. He's got good trips in the clinch. He's got good ground and pound, but he is going to look to get this fight to the mat. And versus Alonzo Menifield, who does have good takedown defense, I would expect Zoe to get this one done. I don't think we have any odds on this. I would expect Alonzo to be around the area of minus 400, minus 500. I would expect him to get this one done inside the distance via TKO. Alonzo Menifield's a good fighter. Obviously, he's not crazy good, but he is good enough to get through this guy for sure. I definitely expect him to win this fight, and I'll definitely be picking him to win. So I am going to go with Alonzo Menifield to win by knockout, second round. Next up, you got Adam Fugitt taking on Billy Ray Goff. Now, Adam Fugitt, I believe, actually opened up as a favorite, if I'm not mistaken. He did. And obviously, he got dropped down all the way to plus 230, which I don't think he should be. I don't think he should be plus 230, but Billy Ray Goff is a tough motherfucker, man. He got a war with Trey Waters last time out, an incredible fight where, you could say he won that fight. He's durable. He's a good striker. He will get this one done, in my opinion. Adam Fugitt, long from the outside. He's okay. He's not great, but I just think Billy Ray is so durable. He can just walk this dude down and get the finish here. So I am going to go with Billy Ray for now, but I don't understand. I understand the odds, but I'm not fully liking the minus. I'm sorry. Wait, this is against Dulatov. No, this is it. All right, okay. I'm not liking the minus 270 on Billy Goff, to be honest, but we'll go with Billy Ray Goff to win this one inside the distance. Next up, you got Ibo Aslan taking on Iwan Cutelaba. Now, I actually had some, I was kind of confused when this fight got announced because both these guys, I believe that they probably train together, Both these guys go at Extreme Couture, so I would imagine that these guys have trained together and probably, got some good reps in because Iwan is a wrestler, Ibo is a striker, right? So I would imagine these guys got a lot of time on the mat together. If you take a look at the odds here, we do have Ibo Aslan as the slight favorite. And I am going to pick him to get this one done. I think that his takedown defense is something to be still a little bit worried about. Ibo Aslan, he's coming off a win off Rafael, of course, who I just talked about. And it was a first-round knockout. And he showed some pretty good stuff. He puts together some good combinations. But if you go back and look at Ibo Aslan, he's not only struggled with some of the grappling, his gas tank's not great. And you really did see that. Oh, my gosh. Why can't I remember who he fought? Oh my gosh, why can't I remember? Anton Turkalj, right? You saw it against Anton Turkalj where, one, he took forever to get Anton out of there, and he was gassed. So, some hiccups with Ibo Aslan. That's ultimately why I did end up picking Coqueiro against Aslan in his last one. But Aslan put it together and knocked him out. And he is powerful. He's got good technique on his shots. But it's all going to be about stuffing the takedowns from Iwan. Iwan's coming off a win against, I don't remember that dude's name, a guy who is, I believe he was in KSW, I want to say, and Iwan got a pretty solid win there. He went to the wrestling and got it done. Iwan's powerful on the feet. He's got a strong overhand. Interesting fight here. Iwan's always an interesting guy to look at, but I do believe that Ibo gets it done. I want to say, he's a younger guy. He's a fresher guy. I believe his durability's better, and I believe he can get the finish over Iwan Cutelaba in this one. So, I am going to go with Ibo Aslan via second-round knockout, but if this fight goes later on, and if Iwan has his way with Ibo on the ground, I could definitely see Iwan taking over this fight. And Iwan has very good, fast takedown entries, that Greco-Roman wrestling background. So, he's no slouch on the mat, but sometimes I do worry about his cardio as well, of course, and his fight IQ, because sometimes he just does stupid shit. Obviously, the Magomed Ankalaev situation where he was acting like he was hurt for some reason. I don't know. He's a very interesting fighter, an interesting guy. But I am going to go with Ibo Aslan to get this one done. Second round KO. Next up, I love this fight, man. I love this fight, and I have already done film for this fight. So I'm going to have a pretty good read on it, I feel like. But you're looking at very close odds here, and I understand it because Malequizael Costa, he's coming off a win versus Shailan Nursulton. And Malequizael is a good fighter. He's good on the mat. He's good on the feet. He fought, I can't remember, Austin Lingo, right? That's his name. And he just beat the crap out of him, man. It was just a brutal, brutal fight where he was just landing kicks. And you got to see a lot of his ability on the feet. He's a good kicker. He's a good striker. He's got good footwork. And he's a younger guy. I believe he's got the endurance edge here and the wrestling and grappling edge possibly in this fight. Maybe, right? And he's a solid fighter. Malequizael is good, man. He got finished by Steve Garcia where he was, when he got finished, he was wrestling Chris Taioni. It was a brutal, brutal finish, but Mean Machine always does that, man. He's a beast. But Malequizael Costa, not a bad fighter. Good on the mat, good on the feet. He's taking on Andre Fili, obviously a vet in the game. And Andre Fili's coming off a win versus Cub Swanson, a pretty good win, but a controversial one. I did think Cub ended up winning that fight. I actually did pick Cub Swanson to beat Fili, and I was a little upset with the decision, but I do like Fili, and I like his game. And one thing about Andre Fili is he hits hard, man. He really does hit hard. You can, look at interviews from other people, and they talk about how hard this guy hits. Max Holloway said he's one of the hardest hit, probably before Ilya. He fought Ilya, but he always talked about Fili being one of the hardest hitters he's fought. And it shows, man. He knocked out Lucas, what was his name? Lucas Almeida. Lucas Almeida knocked him out with a nasty right hand. And I think he holds the edge here inside of the pocket, right? Because Malequizael Costa wants to keep it at range, but he's not the bigger guy here. He's smaller in height, and he's smaller in reach. And I do believe that a guy like Malequizael is going to try and keep it on the outside. but he does have some defensive issues that I've seen. And I think Andre Fili's going to catch him with something inside the pocket. But I do think, this is a close fight because I think Melky is a guy who's going to be able to land more volume, right? He likes to throw the kicks up the middle. His hands aren't bad, but I do feel like if Andre can get inside of that pocket where Melky, does throw kicks kind of like naked, right? Where he doesn't set him up. Andre Fili, a guy who can blitz in, drop that right hand and sit him down, maybe finish him there. It's a close fight, but I do think for most of the fight, we will see it take place on the feet. I'm excited about this one. I think it's a fun scrap, but I'm going to go with Fili to get the knockout here. I would imagine that this fight, would kind of close in Malequizael Costa's favor. Now, plus 170, if I would have gotten that number, I would have bet Malequizael Costa immediately because I don't believe that should be the line here. And I definitely don't believe that Fili should have opened minus 200. Of course not. I don't believe that. But it is a tight fight, and I agree with the odds here. I believe that Melky might close as a favorite, but I'm looking at Fili to get this one done via KO. I think he can blitz in that pocket, and when he gets there, he's the better fighter in the pocket. So I'm going to go with the older guy to get this one done. I like Touchy to get it done via KO, so I'm excited about this one, though. Next up, this one's canceled, man, as well as this one. So these fights are all canceled, but we got this one, which I cannot open up once again, and is Nursulton Ruziboev taking on Eric Mcconico. Now, I did watch Eric a little bit, and my only problems with Eric is, one, I don't like how he gets hit. He has been finished twice in his career, knocked out twice. He is 34 years old, which is also not the best, and from what I've seen from his game, he'll mix in the wrestling. He'll mix in the takedowns. He wants to be in that pocket where he can land shots on the feet. And he's going to be at a size disadvantage here. He's listed at about 6 foot. Pretty decent reach, but Nursulton's 6'5". So Nursulton's going to have a big edge in reach, a big edge in height. And I could see Nursulton dropping a right hand, knocking Eric Mcconico out. But this guy, he trains with Jared Cannonier, training partner of Jared Cannonier. And he's not bad, but he is 34 years old. Nursulton, and he was training for a fight, so I don't know how much Nursulton trained, but Nursulton's a guy who at middleweight, I actually think it's a lot better for him. I don't think he's great at welterweight. And Ruziboev's got a ton of experience. Obviously a big height advantage and reach advantage, and I believe he'll get after that calf kick on Mcconico. I'm sorry, it's such a weird name, but I could see Ruziboev dropping that big right straight and knocking this guy out because he is a southpaw. I think that's going to open up a shot for Ruziboev, and if not, I think Ruziboev can take him to the mat and control him there. But I think out of these two guys, this guy and this guy, I think that Eric has a better shot to beat Nursulton, and I don't know what the odds are on this. I would imagine Nursulton would be around minus 300, but I think he gets this one done, and I think he gets this one done by knockout. Next up, Gene Silva makes his return. He's taking on Melsik Baghdasaryan. Now, an interesting fight here because obviously everybody loves Gene Silva. He's a great fighter. He really is good at power shots, man. He's a very good counter striker. He's fast. He's dynamic, elusive. He's a very good striker. Very good striker. But he's taking on Melsik, who is a pretty big underdog here. Right here, plus 395. I don't necessarily know if I agree with this because if you've watched Melsik, he's a very clean striker. He's a very clean kickboxer. And he is going to be at a size disadvantage because a guy like Gene Silva is pretty much a weight bully, right? He's huge for the weight class. He missed weight against Charles Jourdain, but ended up getting the finish there. And Gene Silva's good, man. He's good. I think that if Gene Silva wrestles here, he's going to clearly beat Melsik, though. I think that Melsik, he's got kickboxing experience. He fights out of Armenia. He has not fought in a long time, which concerns me a little bit. He had some injuries and had to pull out of a couple fights. But his wrestling seems to be very underdeveloped, I want to say. I don't think it's very good. And on the feet, he's pretty damn good. He's snappy with the kicks. He's the guy who's going to want to be on the outside here. He's going to want to be on the outside, blasting those kicks. They're fast. He sets them up well. And his hands are nothing to play with either. But the guy hitting harder is going to be Gene Silva, absolutely. But I could see a world where Gene Silva's having some trouble with this guy because he's on the outside kicking the shit out of Gene Silva and, piecing him up with the hands because he is the faster guy. But ultimately, if this fight does hit the mat, which I'd expect Gene Silva to go to that if he doesn't like how it's going on the feet, I think Silva can get it done on the mat because I think Melsik is really, really bad on the mat. I think Silva has an advantage there, even though we don't see him wrestle often. You can see from his takedown defense, he's got good hips, good sprawls. Melsik doesn't defend takedowns well at all. So it's an interesting fight. I don't necessarily agree with the odds, especially if this is going to be a standing fight. Gene Silva's a guy who relies on those counters, and against a pretty experienced kickboxer like Melsik, it's not going to come that easy against a guy like Dober. It's going to come a little bit easier, where Dober's a little bit reckless. Jourdain kind of smaller. I think this is a bit of a tougher fight than the odds suggest, but if Gene Silva decides to take it to the mat, he can definitely win there. I am going to pick Gene Silva here, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as the odds suggest. So Gene Silva will be my pick here. And co-main event, Brendan Allen taking on Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. This one's an interesting one, and I've talked about it way back when this fight got announced, and I picked Brendan Allen, and people were kind of confused. But I kind of look back at it, and I think it plays into Allen's favor a little bit, right? He's going to be the better guy on the feet, without a doubt, in my opinion. We've seen Fluffy get knocked out by Kevin Holland, and Fluffy's not great on the feet, right? Roman Kopylov's lighting him up, whatever. That's not his game whatsoever, and his game is to get you in the clinch and take you down. But Brendan Allen, he's very good there, right? What if Brendan Allen takes Fluffy's back? It's a possibility. I know Brendan Allen just gassed out against Nasruddin Imavov, and obviously Fluffy can do that. But he is facing a grappler who, is a little bit better on the feet than a guy like Rodolfo Vieira, who Fluffy drowned. He's better on the feet. Allen is, of course. He's a little bit, stronger, and he's not willing to play what Rodolfo Vieira played against Anthony Hernandez, that guard game, right? Brendan Allen's not really going to play the guard game. He's going to want to be the one on top. And I think he can do it, right? Hernandez relies on that clinch a lot. Brendan Allen's very good from the clinch. He's very, very good from the clinch. And if Brendan Allen can put Hernandez on his back, without a doubt, I think he can win this fight. I think he's better on the feet. And however long it lasts on the feet, I think Allen's going to have an advantage. And I think that the kicks of Allen are going to be good to keep Fluffy off of him. But if Fluffy gets that clinch position and tries to take Allen down, I think Allen can reverse him and take him down and maybe take his back for a round, or control him on the ground and steal a round like that and then go out and win another round. This is a 3-round fight, if I'm not mistaken. If it is a 3-round fight, it's definitely more in Allen's favor here. I don't understand this number. I don't understand this. Plus 250 or plus 210 on Allen doesn't make sense to me. I think this line will close a little bit, but I don't really understand this. So I am going to go with Brendan Allen for my early pick. I think he can reverse the position on Hernandez, be the better guy on the feet, stronger in the clinch, better in the clinch. Maybe put Fluffy on his back or take Fluffy's back and choke him out, right? The guy, Brendan Allen, has 10 rear naked choke finishes, right? He's an incredible off his back, or if he takes your back, he's incredible there with the control, getting you to bait for the submission, the finish. He's very good there. And I don't see Fluffy being able to get out of that position. But obviously, if Fluffy is able to wear on him in the clinch, break him down, 100% Fluffy can win this fight. But I am going to go with Brendan Allen. I think he's got more ways to win, and I'm going to go with Brendan Allen to win this one. The main event, Henry Cejudo taking on Song Yadong. Now, I don't know what these odds are, but I don't know if I necessarily agree with this, minus 260 on Song Yadong, but I am going to pick him to win. Yadong is only 27 years old. He's coming into his prime right now, and you definitely saw it in the Peter Yan fight. He's got the 5-round experience. He fought Chris Gutierrez in a 5-round fight. Ended up doing a lot of wrestling there, and he's been with Team Alpha Male for so long. His wrestling defense is really good, man. It's really, really good. Obviously, a guy like Yan was able to do that, but Yan is a guy who mixes it up better than Cejudo. You're looking at Song Yadong, more athletic, more in his prime, and a nasty boxer, ferocious boxer. He's got nasty calf kicks, and he's going to have the height advantage, the reach advantage here. And I don't know if I necessarily understand why Cejudo's still fighting. I don't think he should be fighting anymore. I think he should hang it up, and I think this is a weird fight for him to take. Because Song is a very good fighter, right? He's only losing to the best, Sandhagen, Peter Yan. And that Yan fight was close. He took the first round off Yan, looked fantastic in that fight. And his takedown defense is getting better and better. And Cejudo is not a guy like Peter Yan who's going to find different ways to, take you down, whether it's the judo, whether it's the slipping into the nastiest takedowns off the striking. Cejudo doesn't do that as well as a guy like, Peter Yan. And I think that Yadong's going to be able to see those coming, win bigger moments on the feet. He's got the 5-round experience. Obviously, Cejudo's got 5-round experience, but he's more in his prime. This should be, I don't want to say a relatively easy fight for Yadong, but I do think that holds a lot of advantages here. Obviously, on the feet, he does. I think the calf kick is going to be something big that he implements. And the reach advantage, getting inside the pocket, Song Yadong's great there. His boxing's very good. And his takedown defense has improved tremendously. And I think he gets Cejudo out of there. And I think he finishes this fight. I think he finishes Henry Cejudo. Cejudo's no tough, or no easy customer, right? He's a tough dude. Obviously, double champ. He's got an extensive background, man. He's a very good fighter. Definitely not counting him out. This is before film, of course. But Yadong's coming into his prime, man. And Cejudo's not in his prime. He's 37, I believe. I don't think he should still be fighting. And Yadong, I like him, man. I like Song. And I think he'll get this one done. A lot of weird fights canceled on this card, as you can see. But a solid card, not bad. Obviously, this one's gone. This one's gone. There was a WMMA fight that just got taken off as well. So we'll see what happens. There's 11 fights on the card. Not a lot, but it kind of fell apart a little bit. But yeah, man, that's going to wrap it up for me. I hope y'all boys enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.